Then this went for a while, Pride, trying to get a recording deal, and didn't work. And it sort of broke down. And we recruited in new members. It was through sort of friends and contacts. We heard that Paul was free and he had a bass. Stuart was free and he had a sax. And Andrew with his big hands and, and his keyboard. So they joined, and we continued until we finally got a deal. But we wanted the whole big band to be signed up, and the record companies weren't interested in the band. They wanted to sign me, and me alone, basically. So we kept on for about 2 years, playing up and down the country, going to the weirdest venues.
When, I guess when you first started singing, either with Pride or when Sade first formed, what was the music that was going on? Did you feel like you were maybe out of place?
I think we were too naive to consider. It's not like a naivety. We were very sure we were busy doing what we did, and it didn't matter what was around, it didn't really affect us that much because we really did. There's no question of options, because if you don't do the music that you want to, if you don't make the music that you want to make, then there's not much point in making it. And to have adapted what we did to sound more correct with what was current at the time when we started would have been pointless, you know. There was no point. We just should do something else, you know. Go back to whatever we were doing before. Because if you compromise before you've even started, then by the time you get there, you've totally lost the plot.
The creation of Diamond Life, how did that evolve?
Well, we were given some studio time by Robin Miller, the man who produced us on produced Diamond Life, and so we had Your Love Is King and Smooth Operator were mastered before we went to the record company. Finally, you know, to get signed. We still weren't signed after we'd finished those 2 songs, so we were really lucky in that we had something really concrete to show them. And then we got signed and then continued making the record with Robin. And it was quite simple in a way, because we had already a sort of collection of songs in sort of various stages. We actually wrote it in 24-track studio. We didn't then go away and pre-produce it. We're there, we're here now, and we're going to make a record, and we're in the thick of it. And I think often that's the best way for things to happen, really spontaneously.
How did you come up with Smooth Operator?
Smooth Operator was a song that was in the Pride set.
On Diamond Life, there is a cover song, Jimmy Thomas.
Yeah, Why Can't We Live Together? The reason we did that song was just a song that I loved, you know. I just love the groove, I love the feeling of it, I love the rawness of it, and it's very unpolished, and in a way we didn't really wander far from, you know, the original path, you know. It was pretty much the same, in a way, the format as the original.
What's being on the road with Sade like?
It's not easy being on the road with me. The others are fine, no problem, because they're out all the time. But the people who have to deal with me, it's difficult because we're none of us very good at getting up in the morning, so we tend to miss planes.
Some bands look forward to just going into the recording studio and that's it, making a record. Other bands live for the live performance. What about Sade?
I think when we write songs, we're very conscious of the idea of getting on a stage one day. We're going to be on a stage and we're going to perform this song, and how do we feel? And to me, that's a good indicator. It's like, if I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing in a song, I imagine myself singing in front of an audience, and then to see how proud I am or how embarrassed I would be to actually sing this song. I think everything we do is sort of with that in mind. When we make an album, deep down, you know, we imagine the live performance. That's pretty important to us.
Is there any way you can explain the energy of performing to a live audience?
performing in front of a live audience is like a feeling of shock and fear. And it's very electric, and it's very exciting because you're on the edge all the time, you know, it can go wrong. You know that any moment it can go wrong. So you have to be brave, you have to be not scared of looking like a fool. There's really nothing like it. It's like being on a diving board that you know is too high and you've got to jump off it. But you know it's just a little bit too high. You've never jumped off a board that high before. That's a similar sort of feeling, but it's a real thrill when you do it.
Is Sade touring for Love Deluxe?
Yeah, we'll definitely tour, I think, the beginning of next year. That's the plan. We're going to go all around the world. We like doing that.
Is there a difference between the American and European audience now?
Yeah, there's a big difference between America and Europe. It's so different, like France, Germany, Italy, England. There's such major differences that it's the same in a way as like going maybe to Louisiana and Detroit or New York. You know, it's like worlds apart. So there's a real different feeling wherever you go.
Any specific differences in the audiences?
Yeah, London audiences, for instance, as an example, are quite sort of tight and reserved, whereas the audience in Washington's wild, Miami's wild. Japan, for instance, you know, people actually don't go home, they come straight from the office. They don't express themselves a lot, they're very quiet and they go wild. Which at first is very uncomfortable. You know, you go there from somewhere like Australia where people are like throwing their pants on the stage, and then you go to Japan and it's very, very reserved. But after a while you're used to it because you realise there's a code and a different level of reaction. It doesn't mean that they don't appreciate you as much as the Australians. You just get to understand the code. That's difficult at first though.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.